Why are all the lights out? Let me see if I can find a flashlight here somewhere. There we go. Huh. I'm in the right spot, Conquer TV, but the studio doesn't seem to be working. Matt, you around here? Oh, there you are. Hey, are we still recording today? We are? Okay. Hey everyone, Daniel Saletti here of As the Reel Turns. Now, you're probably wondering, Daniel, why aren't you in your fancy studio doing the show? Well, there's a reasoning behind that. You see, we had so much to talk about in this next episode that we decided to turn it into two different parts. This episode you're about to see is entitled Time Capsule Shows, and this is the first part. We're going to go from the 1920s to the 1950s. Now, if you're confused and asking yourself, Daniel, what the heck are you talking about? Then I'll explain once we get to the actual show proper. Until then, enjoy the show, and Matt, let's get started. Now let's reiterate something here. This is only part 1. There's going to be a part 2, so if you're confused or you're seeing this out of order, well, just go with me on this. Either way, you're going to love it. Trust me.
Yes, indeed. Hooray for Hollywood. My name is Daniel Saletti, and this is As the Reel Turns, your place for all things movie and television. I'm Daniel Saletti. Today we're going to talk about something really, really cool, but before we get to it, we have, of course, our entertainment update. Take it away.
This is the ever-popular Pets.com sock puppet for entertainment update. Today's updates include 1 from film and 2 from TV. Leo the lion is still roaring all the way to Brazil. Let me explain. Movie company MGM has recently been bought by world monopoly Amazon. Yes, the famous shopping website bought the famous studio for $8.45 billion. This means Amazon now has ownership of such famous films like The Wizard of Oz, the Pink Panther series, A Christmas Story, and yes, Daniel, the James Bond 007 franchise, the official one at that. Yet again, television has lost a famous star from the classic TV realm. Actor Gavin MacLeod died on May 29th. MacLeod was famous for playing Murray in The Mary Tyler Moore Show and Captain Stubing in The Love Boat. He also appeared in the series McHale's Navy and the film Time Changer. Finally, we have yet another reboot on our hands. Through the collaboration of Lee Daniels and Fred Savage, The Wonder Years is coming back. This will not feature the Arnold family in an unnamed town, yet an unnamed black family in Montgomery, Alabama, growing up in the same time as the original show, late 60s to early 70s. Savage himself played the title character of Kevin Arnold in the original. According to the trailer, the show is due to premiere on ABC soon. And sorry, Daniel, Danica McKellar, who played Winnie Cooper, will not be part of this show. She sent her regards, though. This has been the ever-popular Pets.com sock puppet for Entertainment Update. Back to you, Daniel.
Well, how about that? We got a real celebrity doing the entertainment update. We got the Pets.com sock puppet. And that is so nice that Danica sends her regards. I love to hear that. So, like I said, we got an interesting topic for you today.
Now that's all well and good, and I agree, that's really cool to have a celebrity like the Pets.com sock puppet do our entertainment update. But there are a few things I wanted to mention from last week that I forgot to mention. First of all is the series Krypton. Now, if you ask me, I don't know why they would want to make a television series about Superman's grandfather. I'm not talking about his real Kryptonian father, Jor-El. I'm talking about the generation before that. Well, ask the Sci-Fi Channel, because they're the ones who made this show, and no big surprise, it lasted 2 seasons. This is a modern-day show, so we mostly would have talked about this with our friend Vincent, but we just did not have the time, and we found out later that we forgot to mention this. On the other hand, we talked about some classic series with Nicholas Vicinanzo, and one of them was Lois and Clark. Now, Lois and Clark, I always said, had the best casting ever. They nailed the parts perfectly with all the characters. And that goes with also John Shea. Now, John Shea was an interesting choice for Lex Luthor. He did have a full head of hair. Later on, he did get a balding in a guest spot. But he was always an interesting choice, but he always did it a very evil way. He was really good at it, and you could really tell that he was out to get Superman whenever he could. The reason I talk about John Shea here so much is, guess what? You, yes you, New Hampshire, have a connection to this man. He is, in fact, from North Conway. How cool is that? John Shea is from North Conway, so I want to extend an invitation and an offer to John Shea for, if anytime he comes to his hometown of North Conway, he wants to come on this show. Come on down, because you're in the same state, and it's going to be a little bit of a drive from North Conway, but hey, you're more than welcome. Come on down, because we talked about one of your biggest shows, so that's pretty cool. Now, those are the only little tidbits from Superman that we forgot to talk about, but now let's get to our real show. Real Daniel, take it away.
We have something that, patent pending by me, I like to call time capsule shows. Yes, time capsule shows. Now, if you're confused of what that means, I can explain for you. So a time capsule show is a TV show that is set in a different time than it was made. And we're going to be going through a lot of different ones. Now, we're going to stay in the 20th century because Westerns and sci-fi, A, won't count, and B, that'd just be kind of cheating because, you know, they're already way out there. So we're going to start when it comes to the time capsule. We're going to start in the 1920s. And we have a great guest to talk about these shows with us today. We have a good friend of mine, Mr. Kevin Planchet, who is not only a good friend of mine, but he is a fellow actor of mine. He was in a whole bunch of movies I've done, and we actually went to NHTI together on his t-shirt. So Kevin, thanks for joining us.
No problem. This is going to be a fun little one, I think.
I think so too. So we're going to talk about time capsule shows, and we're just going to get the ball rolling here with one of the most famous time capsule shows ever, which was recently made, that being Downton Abbey. Now, Downton Abbey is an interesting one because it was set in the 19-teens and then also made its way into the 20s as well with the end of the series and their film as well. This was a big success for not only British fans, but also PBS fans, because that's where American audiences saw it in. Now, personally, I have a confession here to make. I fell asleep during the intro credits to this show, and it just didn't grab me like a lot of people did. Now, is this show really all it's cracked up to be, you think? Or do you really think maybe it was just a flash-in-the-pan British show?
Well, I don't really understand British stuff, so I can't really say with any degree of certainty. Also, I like my sister and my mom watch it occasionally, especially my sister.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't honestly know if I would ever, binge this show per se. I don't mean to say I don't watch British shows. I do, because there are 1,000 that I watch. I watch Keeping Up Appearances about Hyacinth Bouquet. I've seen Chef. I am a huge fan of Doctor Who, and then I even love Wallace and Gromit too.
I love that.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't love Wallace and Gromit?
You don't like Wallace and Gromit?
I know, right? It's like not liking cheese. Aha. But yeah, they have now they had a 6-season run, and they had a film come out, and now they have an upcoming film like we saw in last week's update this coming Christmas. Do you think that Downton Abbey is worthy of not just one, but 2 feature films?
Well, if it's getting a feature film, it obviously is. It probably there's enough people that warrant it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely worthy if you do it right, but I don't know. I remember going to a premiere of it with a whole bunch of friends, actually a whole bunch of my mother's friends. They did this whole thing, and then I was a tag-along, basically. And people really do it up. I mean, they get in their outfits and stuff like that. Do you really think this could be like another phenomenon? Like, people will be dressing up in 1920s gear and stuff like that for a while because of this?
I don't really know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't really see people going to Comic-Cons and dressing up as Downton Abbey characters, but hey, it could happen. It could happen.
What will you do with your time?
I've got a job in Ripon. I said I'll start tomorrow.
A job? You do know I mean to involve you in the running of the estate.
Oh, don't worry. There are plenty of hours in the day. And, of course, I'll have the weekend.
What is a weekend?
Yeah, so Downton Abbey was certainly a huge success and definitely kicked off what we're calling time capsule shows. This next one, though, this is an interesting one. I don't know anything about this series, this film series, whatever. This next show is called, I kid you not, Gremlins: Secret of the Mogwai. Now, this is a show in the Gremlins universe based on the feature films from the 90s and the 80s. And it's basically going to feature the character Gizmo, or the Mogwai, or whatever it's called. There it is right there. And it's set in China in the 1920s. And I believe actress Ming-Na Wen is going to be part of this show. Kevin, 1920s plus Gremlins plus China. Is that a good equation?
I have no idea.
Have you seen Gremlins?
I watched it when I was really young, and it terrified me.
There you go.
I have not watched it since. And
Billy Pelser has a
though
nice
I do know it was very popular, so obviously gets its own series.
Yeah.
Because that's what you did with a lot of those.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean,
nice girl.
I've seen a lot of series come off of movies. You know, like Fame is one, MASH is one, and they've done fairly well. But this is just an upcoming one, and I really don't know if it's going to work. I mean, there are horror fans out there who are fans of Gremlins. Do you think it'll work?
I mean, you usually do like the animated series usually soon after the movie to capitalize on the popularity. They're this late. I don't know.
Yeah. No, but and that brings up a good point about animated series. I mean, a lot of the time they take that route. I mean, Men in Black took that route, and others have, like The Mask as well.
And Ghostbusters.
And Ghostbusters for sure, yeah. All right, so I wish Gremlins all the success in the world, but let's move on here to another one I'm a little bit unfamiliar with. This one's called Miss Fisher's Murder Mysteries. Now, there are 1,002, I'm going to say 1,002 1920s British shows I could have chosen from, but this one caught my eye. Do you know anything about this show?
No.
No. Yeah. I mean, it's a murder mystery show, and I think, I wasn't 100% sold on it when I was looking it up. It looked like just another run-of-the-mill murder mystery, but I mean, I think it was shown on ABC maybe as well, so it definitely got some American audiences. But murder mysteries in the 20s, do you think those work?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, reading some. I've also my sister's been reading some of those little murder mysteries.
There you go. Yeah. So definitely, I think that's a.
I do enjoy some little like Sherlock and whatnot.
Yeah, Sherlock definitely is one that may have counted for this show, but I was like, maybe not. Maybe not. But yeah, I mean, definitely out of all these 20 shows, Downton Abbey, The Gremlins, and Miss Fisher, I'd lead more towards Downton Abbey, believe it or not. I mean, all for pop culture and Gremlins, all for murder mysteries like Miss Fisher, but Downton Abbey has my vote for this one, I'd say. That's just me. I don't know about you, but
I like a good murder mystery, but that's also just a one-time watch for me.
exactly.
Usually.
Yeah. Well, let's do a jump here. Let's leave the 1920s.
The Roaring 20s.
The Roaring 20s, and let's go to the 1930s. Now, the 1930s, we have a few different shows here. Let's jump across the pond one more time to a show, another one I've seen from across the pond called Jeeves and Wooster. Now, not only is this a fun name to say, but it's a funny show about this guy and basically his butler, and it was a comedy show. Here's the opening title sequence. It was the comedy duo of Stephen Fry and Hugh Laurie. Now, Hugh Laurie has gone on to some dramatic stuff in House, and Stephen Fry, he occasionally shows up in other things, doing some more comedic stuff. The premise of a guy and his butler, and basically comedy ensues. Kevin, your thoughts?
Wait, is Jeeves the butler? Or
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's the butler.
That makes sense, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
During the Great Depression?
Around that time, yeah. It starts in the 20s, but then leaks into the 30s. That's why I included it in the 30s. But, yeah, it basically would start around that time. But remember, we are in Britain, so we're not in America.
British humor.
Yeah, a lot of British humor in this one. And the other thing about that intro is that it did have a very catchy theme song that you will hear occasionally sometimes, believe it or not, on NPR. You will hear that song on NPR. So now we'll jump to another show staying in America, and it's one of the most famous shows that, at least when I think of the 1930s, I think of this show. This is a show called The Waltons. This was a very long-running show that started with a Thanksgiving special, believe it or not, and then entered into a series. And it does take place around that time of the Great Depression, the Dust Bowl. Although, really, I mean, no pun intended, what a sad and depressing time to have a show. Do you really think the Great Depression and having like a family drama basically is a good idea? In the Great Depression?
It's the Great Depression. That's a great time for drama because everyone's suffering.
True. Very true. Very true. And you see the main character here, John Boy, and that was a very famous part of this show where they would end an episode with all the lights in the house going off, and you'd hear all the kids in the house saying goodnight, and it would always end on "Good night, John Boy. Good night, so and so. Good night. Good night. Good night. Good night. Good night, John Boy." And that basically carry on throughout.
Quiet down now and get some sleep.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Ben.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy.
Good night, children.
Good night, Daddy. Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Jim Bob. Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, Jim Bob.
What's going on? I was asleep. What's everybody doing?
Good night.
Good night, Jim Bob. Go to sleep.
It's
Credits?
And credits, yeah, basically. It was a popular show, but again, it's 1930s. What else can you say about the 1930s? I do like the fact that they have the old truck there in the opening credits here. That's very cool. Let's do another 30s show here where taking a little bit more of a dark route here with another famous name when it comes to television and it comes to the 1930s. And when I say dark route, this is more gangsters. Let's talk The Untouchables.
Ah, heard of this.
Yeah. Tell us about The Untouchables.
I've heard of it.
Oh, you've heard of it. Okay. Yeah. I mean, The Untouchables, it's guys with guns in the 1930s, you know, Tommy guns, stuff like that. Shows about gangsters. Good idea? Bad idea?
Always a good idea for gangsters. I mean, they have plenty of drama, plenty of violence, and just and protagonists that you're not supposed to like.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's always a good thing to have. And this also did what's the word I'm looking for? Spawn one, I believe, at least, famous movie with Kevin Costner, The Untouchables.
Yeah, that's probably what I've heard.
Yeah, and we have we have the opening credits here as well. So, if you like gangsters, definitely check out The Untouchables. That's a good one. And like I said, you know, with these time capsule shows, I mean, this was a 50s, 60s show, so we're just going through as many shows as we possibly can fit in, and you know, if they count, they count, and if we don't know about them, then we'll move on.
Al Capone, respected, feared.
Somebody messes with me, I'm gonna mess with him.
Protected and obeyed by all but 4 honest men who swore to end his reign of power. Kevin Costner is Elliot Ness, Robert De Niro is Al Capone, and Sean Connery is Jimmy Malone in a film by Brian De Palma, The Untouchables.
Coming soon to a theater near you. Check your local listings. Rated restricted.
Now we're going to enter the 1940s, and now we're getting into a time frame where I like these shows. I've seen a lot of these shows. I'll be honest, I did not see a lot of the 1920s and 30s shows that we discussed, but I know about their fame and I know about their impact, so that's why I included them at least. But let's talk 40s. So we're gonna jump to a show here that is taking a comedic look at something that intentionally would not be comedic, that being Hogan's Heroes. Hogan's Heroes is an interesting show because it was a show made in the 60s about a German Nazi POW camp and set in the 1940s. And it's about the POWs in the camp. And it's, quote, led by Colonel Hogan, who was played by right here in the opening credits, Bob Crane. Bob Crane being a very interesting fellow. I don't really want to go into it, but let's just say he was a questionable movie director, if you catch my drift. We also saw in the opening credits there Werner Klemperer, who played Colonel Klink, who is the leader of the POW camp. And it's interesting because he would only do the show. He would only play the Nazi leader there if they made the Nazis look like buffoons. If they were only made out to be goofs and silly people, that's the only reason he would do it. Now, taking such a serious group of people and a serious time, you know, these are the Nazis, the quote real Nazis, and personally, I wasn't around then, and I didn't take the time machine that far, but I would say one of their POW camps in the 1940s was not that pleasant.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
A POW camp
Yeah,
by
exactly.
the Nazis.
But do you think that premise would work as a satire comedy?
Oh, yeah. Making fun of the Nazis. That's like one of people, you make fun of terrible people, but make them look like idiots, even if it's not historically accurate.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how accurate it really is. I mean, they definitely reference a lot of the stuff happening in the time. And of course, Mr. Nutty himself, as they call him, Adolf Hitler, is referenced a lot. And there are some great scenes, you can find them on YouTube, of one of the POWs, Carter, who is an American like Hogan. He impersonates Hitler to fool the Nazis sometimes. And oh my gosh, it's laugh on the floor funny. Just the way he does it, you know, the fake German, the yelling. It's great. I highly recommend looking it up if you want to get a good laugh.
Gentlemen, a little upturn, if you please. And now, direct from a successful engagement in Berlin, where he bombed, here he is. Your enemy and mine, I'll Schickelgruber!
Carter, it's great. You look just like Mr. Nutty himself.
Formidable. You could fool Eva Brown.
It's almost time. Here's the setup. Kinch has got a car from the motor pool. You drive along inside the wire just after they change the guards. Now, the crowds coming on duty will think you've already been admitted to camp through another gate. You know the rest. Good luck.
Yeah, good luck.
You scared, Carter?
Yeah, I'm scared. Doing this bit in here is one thing, but outside there with those killers.
This man is the Commandant.
Jawohl, mein Führer.
He will win the war anyway!
It is indeed a very great honor to have you here with us, mein Führer.
His Excellency was on his way to Dusseldorf, and he decided to make a surprise visit.
Yeah, everything I do is a surprise, even to me!
How do I look? Lovely, except you forgot the mustache.
Is it on straight?
Carter.
Wait a minute. You want me to go in there and say that he'll talk to Kappelman, but not to him?
And that's final no matter what.
Just shoot it!
You boys sure picked a bad night.
And you can watch Hogan's Heroes on MeTV right now on weeknights. So there you go. Plug for MeTV. All right. Next one I want to cover for the 1940s is one that I hold dear because it's one of those shows that I say was criminally canceled. I mean criminally. And it comes from the ever-popular MCU, Marvel Cinematic Universe. This one is Agent Carter.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. I watched that.
I freaking love this show. Not because of the idea of having a 1940s set show, but not gonna lie, had a small thing for Agent Carter, Haley Atwell, and it just worked. Seeing like the old Shield in the 1940s, and this was Marvel's second attempt at a TV show after Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I also like that show.
I was amazed. I'm going to be honest. I thought that show was going to maybe last a season and then finish. Little did I know it would run 7 seasons and outlive definitely Agent Carter here, which we're seeing a great clip. This is one of my favorite clips of all time, where it's a dream sequence Agent Carter is having, and she's in love with 2 guys, and she's deciding which one to go out with. And there's this wonderful dance number here with the guy right there who just threw the Canadian crutch. His name is Daniel, so A+ for him. You said you watched this show. Why did you like this show?
I mean, I loved Captain America movie, and I really love her character.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I did love Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so I thought it'd probably be good.
Yeah. I mean, this I thought was going to end up, like I said, like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., 1 or 2 seasons, and bye-bye. But this did run only 2 seasons and was just criminally canceled. I hope Agent Carter comes back, and if not, I hope the rumors do come true someday that she will play Doctor Who. I'd love to see her as that character. Also, little tidbit, the dancers in that dream sequence were from another ABC show that the show was on, Dancing with the Stars. Those were Dancing with the Star cast members, so pretty cool.
Recruits, attention! Gentlemen, I'm Agent Carter. I supervise all operations for this division.
What's with the accent, Queen Victoria? Thought I was signing up for the U.S. Army.
What's your name, soldier?
Gilmore Hodge, Your Majesty.
Step forward, Hodge. Put your right foot forward.
You get a rasa? Because I got a few moves I know you'll like.
Agent Carter,
Colonel Phillips.
I can see that you are breaking into candidates. That's good. Get your ass up out of that dirt and stand in that line of attention until somebody comes and tells you what to do.
Yes, sir.
General Patton has said that wars are fought with weapons, but they are won by men. We are going to win this war because we have the best men. And because they are going to get better. Much better.
All right, so we're going to end the 40s here with something you may not have known, a show that you may not have even heard about. Everybody knows, and a lot of people love this movie, but did you know that Casablanca was a TV show?
I heard that, actually.
Did you? Did you? We have the opening credits here right now. This, of course, was based on the highly popular film with Ingrid Bergman and Humphrey Bogart. And it's basically the continuing adventures of Humphrey Bogart's character, Rick, and his bar in Casablanca. It did not last long. You know, really only half a season. And, you know, and it's funny, David Soul here, I was told, darkened his hair so he could look more like Rick from Casablanca. You've heard of this show.
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
I've seen the movie.
You've seen the movie, of course. But it's a fantastic movie, and it's a memorable movie. And did it need to be a TV series?
I don't think so. I think it should have just sort of ended with the movie. That's one of the problems, like sometimes trying to cash in on the movie's popularity by making a show.
Yeah. I mean, we did have a few names in here. We had Ray Liotta in this, and then we also had Scatman Crothers here as Sam. So you did have names in there. But I don't know. I just feel like, yeah, you had the play it was based on at first, and then the ever-popular film. I'm all for seeing what comes next. I'm all for fan fiction. I write fan fiction. But I don't know. I feel like it just didn't grab me as much as it should as a series. I mean, I'm not asking for a remake or a reboot. Don't do it. Don't reboot or remake Casablanca. Listen to me. Bogart will come after you. Bogart's ghost will come after you. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like it was just unnecessary. Do you agree?
I agree.
Yeah. So.
What's up, Doc?
It's been a long time, Sam.
Yikes!
Please play it for me.
I hope you don't mean that knock on wood song. I've got a splitting headache.
You know, my favorite song.
I thought I told you never to play that song. Me? You think I wanted to play that? She made me do it! It was her! In this crazy world, the lives of 3 people don't amount to a... Yeah, Hilligreens, we know. Gotta go. Here's looking for you, kid.
Play it once, Sam, for old time's sake.
I do not know what you mean, Miss Salsa.
Play the rhyming game with me.
Oh, I'm a little bit rusty, Miss Salsa. Kiss.
Bliss.
Miss.
Road.
Toad.
No road.
Ah!
Playing simple rhyming games is a fun way for your child to learn words.
Story.
Glory.
You're getting better as time goes by.
Four-sweating lizards have lime toast pie.
PBS Kids Ready to Learn.
So that was the 1940s, and now let's jump another decade in. Let's jump to the 1950s. We got some great ones in the 1950s here, let me tell you. So we can't talk about the 1950s and time capsule shows without first kicking it off with one of the most popular shows ever made, MASH. MASH, of course, being the series based off the movie, based off the book about the Korean War, about this mobile army surgical hospital in Korea during the Korean War. Tell me you've seen this show.
I have. My mom also loved watching this show.
Tell me you love this show.
I enjoyed it, but I don't remember. I only really remember the last episode most clearly.
Oh, of course, yes. Yeah, the last episode, I don't want to spoil it because it is a...
It's a doozy.
It's a doozy. It's a doozy. I mean, everyone from the movie was recast for this TV show, except for Radar, played by Gary Berghoff. There he is. Yeah, I mean, I don't know necessarily if that was a good choice or a bad choice. I always connected more with the TV cast than the movie cast. But yeah, that finale feels like almost their movie. I mean, this series came from a movie, but it was their movie, that finale. Do you think that this is an 11-season run show? Do you think it will still continue to be as popular as ever?
People would have to find it first in order to actually know to watch it and then be love it.
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely watch it on DVD. I have it all on DVD, and again on MeTV weeknights.
Yes.
So definitely watch MASH, and do yourself a favor and don't watch the spin-offs per se after MASH and Trapper John MD. Trapper John MD was okay, but After MASH is iffy. It's iffy to say the least. And we might have someone who has a few words about that later on.
A couple of days ago, somebody asked me if I thought MASH had made me a better actor. And I said I didn't know about that. But I know it's made me a better human being. And there aren't many shows you can say that about. There's never been a congregation of actors put together that would come within a mile of this bunch. And I'm gonna miss them very much.
Like MASH itself, I'm sad and happy. I'm very, very sad to be leaving my intimate friends and my colleagues and my collaborators. You almost never get a combination like that. You collaborate with people, but they're usually not your intimate friends as well. We're all going to miss each other enormously, but I'm very happy because I'm so proud of what we've done. We've really accomplished something.
Remember the first day I met Alan? I remember the members of the cast who left. And we hugged each other a lot this week. And we kissed a lot, and that's not very unusual. But we did it more because we know we won't be able to do it every day for a while.
But let's move on here to another ever-popular 11-season run 50s show that, again, actually, Kevin and I were singing this a little before the show started. This is, of course, Happy Days. Sunday, Monday, Happy Days. Tuesday, Wednesday, Happy Days.
Thursday, Friday, happy days. The weekend comes, my cycle hums, ready to race to you. These days are
Happy days, Saturday, what a day. Okay, but yeah, that was fun. That was good. Yeah, this is like if MASH is what was happening outside of America in the 50s, or one of the things happening outside of America, this is what was one of the things happening in America. You know, we have we have ever popular characters like Richie Cunningham and the Fonzie A. Have you seen Happy Days, Captain?
No, but I did do some little research on it. Sure. How the original main character basically took the bus off the show, and then the Fonzie became the main character.
Yeah. Richie Cunningham, Ron Howard actually did take off, and then Fonzie did become the main character, sort of in a way. And I don't know. I mean, he was a great side character. Do you really think he'd make a good main character?
I mean, he was a breakout character. They thought he was apparently popular enough.
Yeah. I mean, he was popular enough, I guess, to start the ever-popular trend of jumping the shark.
Yes.
Yes, and now if you're wondering, where does that term come from when a show goes overboard or something and does something that is completely outside any of the characters or the show itself? That's where it comes from, jumping the shark, because Fonzie himself literally jumped a shark in his leather jacket.
There he goes!
And supposedly, like, he lost a lot of character development because of that, because he was originally he learned that not to do crap like that.
Yeah.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
And I mean, that was definitely the downfall of the show. I mean, again, it did run 11 seasons like MASH, but...
so is Simpsons.
Simpsons have been on for...
ever.
Yeah, God knows how long. But that one's a must-watch. And again, MeTV. We're giving a lot of sponsorship to MeTV here.
Someone likes MeTV.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like somebody's watching it a long time and forever. So as much as I love MASH and Happy Days, we're going to talk about a show that I've never seen, and really I don't know if I would or not, because I've heard there is a lot of language in this show. This is a show called Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Say that 3 times fast. It's basically about a stand-up comedian woman, from what I understand, in the 1950s. And the only reason I'm sure they get away with all the language is because it's on Amazon Prime. So it's not on TV, it's on the interweb.
It's not on Prime TV, it's on Amazon Prime TV.
It's Amazon Prime, yeah, it's on the interweb, so that's where they get away with it. But sure, have a strong female character. Why not? As a comedian. Good idea? Bad idea?
Sure.
Do you really think the 1950s are a key player? Or?
Well, that's probably not the best time, technically.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's done really, really well from what I've heard as well. So, if you like comedy, I would say definitely take a watch at it. But just go in there ready to hear some questionable stuff, I guess. So, go figure, I guess. Now, I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to cheat because this one I found out very late was actually not a series, but it was a special shown on TV on PBS. We talked about a lot of British shows, and I mentioned Keeping Up Appearances, the popular Britcom from the 90s with Hyacinth Bouquet, the lady of the house speaking, and stuff like that. But did you know that there is a special out there called Young Hyacinth? Yeah, bet you didn't know that. Well, yes, there is. There was a special in 2013 called Young Hyacinth. Now, I know it's a trend right now, sort of, and it's a trend for a while. There's Hyacinth right there, and there she is as Young. But and the trend is like you take a famous character from whatever and you make them younger. You know, a lot of the time, at a time there was a trend to make them into kids and, you know, babies and stuff like that. A lot of animated shows did that.
Yeah, young Sheldon.
Yeah, and young Sheldon is what came to mind exactly when I came across this, because I don't know. Keeping in mind that this is a beloved British sitcom and it is a character that you can certainly find been on PBS forever and you can find it on DVD, but do you really think that this was necessary?
I mean, it depends on how you do it, really.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, if you think about it, it was good, I bet, and it's nice to see how Hyacinth became Hyacinth, but yeah, I don't know.
It really depends on how you actually go about accomplishing it.
Yeah, I mean, if they do it right, perfect. If they do it wrong, then you're going off on not a good route.
Then you're just wasting everyone's time.
Exactly. I want to now start a segment that we haven't done in a while, ever since the original radio show. This is something that a friend of mine has always done and has always stated his opinion and spoken his mind. Let's go to Christy. This is time for another edition of Christy Rants.
Nobody's got 4 hours to spare. Literally, no one cares. It doesn't make any sense. Just let it be. What were they thinking? What were they actually thinking? What? Why? I just don't get it. Time capsule shows. There's a lot of good ones. I like, there's plenty that I like, and there's lots that are that are done really well. And then there are other ones like, let me just talk about the Waltons for a second. I've never seen the show, but I've heard it's completely iconic, and recently I've heard they're remaking it. Why? Why would you remake such an iconic show? Leave it alone. Leave it alone. Don't remake it. Just don't. Also, let's talk about the Casablanca TV show, which most people don't know about. It was a very short-lived show. Why would you make a show about Casablanca? Why? Just why? I mean, I know you want to capitalize on it, but why? 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 Just don't do that. Also, let me just talk about Aftermash. Like, what kind of friggin' idea was that? Also, Trapper John MD went on for a while, so I guess some people like that. But why would you make Aftermash? Like, the story's over. They all went home. They're fine. They don't have to do anything else. Also, let's talk about Happy Days here. Why did Fonzie have to jump the shark? Why did he have to do that? Jump over a friggin' shark on water skis? Also, don't get me started on Joni Loves Chachi. Like, that opening theme is migraine-inducing. Why did you have to make Joni Loves Chachi? You already made 2 other great spin-off shows. You made Laverne and Shirley. You made Mork and Mindy. Why did you have to make Joni Loves Chachi? You should have just stopped with those 2 great spin-off shows. Yeah, whatever.
Well, there we go. Thank you, Christy, for that Christy rant. It's always good to have you just speak your mind about things. And
Uh-oh. Well, this must mean that we're at the end of part 1. Well, in that case, in the words of a show that we will talk about...
And there you had it.
that was part 1 of our time capsule shows. Like I said in the beginning of this episode, we had so much to talk about that we had to split it up into 2 parts. So you're going to be seeing part 2 of this, which will be episode 3, very soon. But at this point, I guess I want to thank Kevin Planchet, who is a dear friend of mine, for coming on the show. He is fantastic for doing that. Thank you to the Pets.com sock puppet for doing the entertainment update, and thank you to Christy for doing our Christy rant. It is so cool to have that back, and I hope that he will continue to do more in the future as well. Next time in part 2, we will cover everything starting in the 1960s and going to the 1990s. As I said in the beginning, I want to keep this in the 20th century, and westerns didn't necessarily count, and future stuff didn't necessarily count. As always, I want to thank Matt for all the technical stuff. We did have a few hiccups in the beginning there, but hey, we got through them, and things are looking good from here. So thank you to him, and thank you to Conquer TV. And this has been Daniel Saletti, and you know what? I think I'm just gonna let real Daniel say this. Take it away, real Daniel.
And next time we're gonna do something totally different. So who knows what will happen? I had a fun shirt on today, so that's why I wore that. So my name is Daniel Saletti. This has been As the Reel Turns. That is a wrap.